So with that, we are going to jump into the meat of our program, and we're going to start with Gail Gullickson. The Gail has over 30 years of Farm Service Agency experience working with farmers and ranchers to secure funding for their operations. She currently serves as the South Dakota FSA State Outreach and Communications Coordinator, as well as the USDA Beginning Farmer Rancher State Coordinator. Gail's going to give us a high cut on Farm Service Agency eligibility. She's going to share some programs that are of interest to tribes. And with that, Gail, please.
Thanks. I'm excited to get us started. I will share my screen and we'll roll through some good information from FSA. And thank you, Kathy, for that nice introduction. I'm honored to be with you all today. Thanks to the Intertribal Timber Council as well, and then get to share some program information with you all. Nationwide, FSA helps America's farmers, ranchers, and forest landowners invest in, improve, and expand their agricultural operations. FSA programs also assist producers in recovering from the impacts of natural disasters and market fluctuations. Conservation programming offers incentives to improve soil health, water and air quality, and develop additional grazing infrastructure. When natural disasters hit, FSA is here to support the recovery effort with programs that help offset crop and livestock losses and the cost of land and infrastructure restoration. FSA offers a variety of lending options with loans of varying sizes and terms to help your operation cash flow, help you update critical infrastructure, or make key purchases at the right time. As a note, with FSA programs, Indian tribes are not included under the definition of person or legal entity for applying the payment eligibility and payment limitation provisions. Therefore, no limitations or restrictions are imposed on federally recognized Indian tribes or tribally chartered entities for receiving program payments or benefits. And so today we'll briefly touch on some of our conservation and loan programs. First, USDA's Farm Service Agency's Conservation Reserve Program, CRP, is one of the largest private lands conservation programs in the United States. CRP is a voluntary program that contracts with ag producers, so environmentally sensitive ag land is not farmed or ranched, but instead devoted to conservation benefits. CRP participants establish long-term resource-conserving plant species, such as approved grasses or trees, known as covers, to control soil erosion, improve water quality, and develop wildlife habitat. In return, FSA provides participants with rental payments and cost share assistance. Contract duration is between 10 and 15 years. There is a long list of CRP practices available, but eligibility will depend on the land being offered and the resource concern or concerns to be addressed. Most practices require that the land have a cropland status and cropping history. Some buffer practices target marginal pasture land, and grassland CRP requires an existing grass cover. I have a few examples on the next slide, but it is important that you contact your local FSA office for available CRP practices and to determine eligibility. An example is a hardwood tree planting practice used to establish and maintain a new stand or an existing stand of predominantly hardwood trees in a timber planting that will enhance environmental benefits. This practice would be applied to eligible cropland suitable for growing new or maintaining existing hardwood trees that will provide multi-purpose forest benefits. Keep in mind that maintain is only speaking to land currently enrolled in CRP and being re-enrolled. The next example is CP31. This conservation practice, the purpose of this bottomland timber establishments on wetland practice is to establish and provide for the long-term viability of a bottomland hardwood stand of trees that will control sheet, rill, scour, and other erosion, reduce water, air, or land pollution, restore and enhance the natural and beneficial functions of wetlands, promote carbon sequestration, restore, and connect wildlife habitat. This practice would be applied to eligible cropland suitable for growing bottomland hardwood trees or adaptive shrubs that will provide multi-purpose forest and wildlife benefits. As you can see, it is important that you contact your local FSA office for applicable CRP practices to determine eligibility. The Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program, or CREP as we call it, is a key component of FSA's Conservation Reserve Program. CREP is a public-private partnership program allowing states, tribal governments, nonprofit, and private entities to partner with FSA to implement CRP practices that address high priority conservation and environmental objectives. Partners work with FSA to develop CREP agreements designed to address conservation goals on an agricultural lands in specific geographic areas. Possible conservation practices that could be implemented include riparian buffers, filter strips, wetlands, and pollinator plantings. Partners work with FSA to define practices that achieve substantial on-site and off-site natural resource benefits, targeting one or more of the following goals: restore and establish wildlife habitat, maintain or improve grassland productivity, enhance water quality, reduce soil erosion, enhance air quality, restore, enhance wetlands, promote conservation forestry, increase control of critical invasive species, enhance critical and threatened and endangered plant and animal survival, achieve a net water savings in ground and surface waters, and conserve energy. FSA encourages CREP agreements that target multiple natural resource concerns to maximize the conservation benefits. Forested buffers, such as the one that will be created by these new trees shown in this picture, improve water quality by reducing stream bank erosion, filtering runoff, reducing flooding, and more. The photo and caption is from Chesapeake Bay Foundation. CREP that we just talked about is one option under CRP that producers may select to enhance their land. Eligible producers may also enroll land in CRP through the general, continuous, or grassland signups. However, CREP may provide additional benefits not available through those signup types, such as higher incentive payments and longer contract lengths that increase the total amount of rental payments received. We have talked some about conservation programs, and now I want to mention some applicable disaster recovery assistance. The Emergency Forest Restoration Program, EFRP, helps non-industrial private forest land owners recover from natural disasters such as wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, windstorms, ice storms, floods, and other qualifying events. EFRP provides funding and technical support for approved conservation practices that restore forest health, mitigate further damage, and promote sustainable forest management. The EFRP does this by authorizing payments to owners of private forests to restore disaster-damaged forests. Cost share payments are up to 75% of the cost to implement that approved restoration practice. To restore the NIPF, the EFRP program participants may implement emergency forest restoration practices such as debris removal, such as downed or damaged trees, in order to establish a new standard, provide for natural regeneration, site preparation, planting materials and labor to replant forest stand, restoration of forest land roads, fire lanes, fuel breaks, or erosion control structures, fencing, tree shelters, and tree tubes to protect trees from wildlife damage, and wildlife enhancement to provide cover openings and wildlife habitat. Let's switch to our loan programs. FSA offers loans directly through USDA and also guarantees loans through other lenders to eligible borrowers. Before you apply, you need to decide what type of loan you need. If you are growing your own timber, any of our operating and ownership loans will apply as long as eligibility is met. FSA's farm ownership loans, and this is the formal name when it has farm ownership loans, but that essentially means any ag operation, whether it be cow-calf operation, a timber operation, a small vegetable farm. You will just find that we use that term farm in FSA for our records. But these types of loans help you purchase a farm or ranch, which includes a tree farm, enlarge an existing ag operation, construct new farm buildings, improve existing buildings, or pay closing costs. The loans have repayments up to 40 years. As a note, tree farming requires a timber management plan that promotes a sustainable annual harvest of trees. FSA will use a forest stewardship management plan as proof that the application has an approved plan. And there are specific eligibility requirements for direct farm ownership loans, so visit with your local FSA loan official. The operating loans are used to purchase things like equipment or pay for those annual operating expenses. Repayment is from 1 to 7 years. FSA then developed the microloan program to better serve the unique financial operating needs of small, beginning farmer or rancher, or forest landowners, niche and non-traditional farm operations. The microloan application process is simpler, requiring less paperwork to complete, consistent with a smaller loan amount. Requirements for managerial experience and loan security have been modified to accommodate veterans, smaller operations, and beginning producers. Emergency loans help producers recover from natural disasters, and our youth loans are available to 4-H and FFA members to start or expand an income-producing ag-related project. You may need to apply for more than one type of loan at the same time if you need money for different purposes, and that is okay. Visit with your local office to find what is the best fit for your operation. Loans available directly through USDA range from $50,000 to microloans to maximum of $400,000 for operating loans and up to $600,000 for ownership. Limitations are outstanding principal at any one time, and you can have more than one loan in each category as long as you don't go over that limit. Our interest rates are updated monthly. So as of August 1st, operating loans are at 5%, ownership loans are at 6%. These rates are fixed rates for the life of the loan. In addition to our traditional loan program for individuals and family size operations, FSA offers 3 additional programs. The Indian Tribal Land Acquisition Loan Program is a loan program for federally recognized tribes to purchase additional land within the reservation boundaries. This is an ideal program to purchase land that may have gone out of trust or to purchase undivided individual allotted interest to obtain that 100% ownership. Next is a highly fractionated Indian Land Loan Program. This is designed to help Native American landowners, tribal members, and tribal entities consolidate ownership of highly fractionated Indian lands. This program provides revolving loan funds to qualified intermediary lenders, allowing tribes and individuals the ability to purchase tribal agricultural land as multiple fractionated owners. This program can be used with other FSA loan programs. Currently, though, there are no lenders actively participating. Finally is the heirs property relending program. Heirs may use these loans from intermediary lenders to resolve title issues by financing the purchase or consolidation of property interests and financing costs associated with a succession plan. May include buying out fractional interest costs, appraisals, etc. Currently, there are 3 intermediary lenders. One is Ockipton, which is targeting Indian country. As we've discussed today, FSA can help you get started or grow your farming operation through a variety of programs and services. First, you'll want to complete the customer data worksheet. This customer profile is used for Farm Record Association. So again, it's whatever your operation looks like, it's a record. Program application generation as a point of reference. Specific programs will also have a program application and additional program eligibility forms. And we need that record created. It's required to participate in USDA programs. So your journey with USDA will begin at the FSA office. And then after that record's been created, our staff can assist producers determine which program is right for you and your goals and complete the required forms. And so reminder, producers are encouraged to contact the local service center for an appointment. Apply Now packets are available online in that the next slide, I guess, has a QR code, but this will help you streamline your first visit. Packets contain eligibility information, and they're available for individuals, entities, and for tribal government customers. And they're also available online or at any USDA service center. There are different eligibility forms depending on how you conduct business. And we just encourage you to, again, to reach out to schedule a one-on-one appointment where dedicated FSA employees are ready and willing to assist with the paperwork and get you started with USDA. A few more slides here. In 2023, USDA launched a tribal partnership page. You will see that QR code there that you should be able to scan. It would take you right there, featuring federal responsibility of the tribe, tribal conservation, partnership opportunities, and support for tribal food sovereignty opportunities for Indigenous representation with USDA. So to learn more, go to farmers.gov/tribal. Before I wrap up, I want to remind you, folks, of the importance of participation in the FSA county committees and the election process. County committees are unique to FSA and serve as a direct link between ag communities and USDA. Committees help deliver FSA farm programs at the local level, and they're elected by FSA customers. So FSA customers are all encouraged to consider running for the position and to return the ballots by December 1st. I've shared a lot of information in a short time, so it is important to stay connected with FSA and NRCS and your local county office. GovDelivery is a great and a free communications tool we use to send updates to producers via newsletter and text messages. You can subscribe on farmers.gov, or to receive text messages, you can simply text your state abbreviation and county code to 372669. You'll see examples on the screen, and news will be sent via email right to your home or office or your smartphone while you're on the go. And it's usually one bulletin per month with deadline reminders, program notifications, disaster assistance, etc. So sign up today. Finally, if you have any questions about USDA, or if you're looking for your local USDA service center, check out farmers.gov. This site covers all things related to farm production and conservation. I encourage you to reach out to your local FSA office with specific program questions, your local USDA service center staff who can meet with producers one-on-one to help identify USDA programs that meet the needs of a specific operation, including loans and conservation assistance, and they'll guide you through the process of the paperwork. There's also some self-service features online, and I have shared my contact information as well, and I've appreciated the opportunity to share some important FSA information with you today. Thank you, and I will turn it back to you, Kathy.
Great. Thanks so much, Gail. Do we have any questions for Gail? And I just saw a hand floating, but I missed who it was. You can either unmute or put your question in the chat. It looks like you might be off the hook.
Hi. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So you talked about the programs being kind of cost share. Are there limitations on what those other percentages where that cost share match comes from? In other words, can you use NRCS funding for their practices to cost share with your practices?
I believe you're referring to the Emergency Forest Restoration Project program with a 75% cost share. I'm not aware that there's any program limitations as far as participating in other USDA programs along with that. However, we'd want to check depending on what the certain practices are, you know, and I could get back to you, Tim, with you know how that might work, but it just depends on what NRCS would have available at the same time. We just sometimes can't have multiple benefits from programs. So I'm not sure on like the NRCS practices as it would relate to EFRP.
Right.
But a good question. Yeah, they would want to check with the local office as they're going through their practice of restoration.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Next up is Nate Grebe. Nate has been working for South Dakota NRCS for 22 plus years. The last 2 years as the state tribal liaison. Previously, he served as a resource unit conservationist, working with both the Standing Rock and Cheyenne River Sioux tribes. And before that, he was district conservationist in Dupree, South Dakota, which is in the heart of Cheyenne River. He and his family also ranch in their free time, and he's going to share information on the 3 primary programs with Natural Resources Conservation Service and discuss some potential opportunities for connecting programming with Bureau of Indian Affairs. So with that, Nate, you're up.
Kathy, are you good? Can you see my machine? Yeah. I always love it when I follow Gail because she's so professional, right? And then like I'm the local idiot that gets to follow her. The best part is, excuse me, Floyd Dawes is the one that taught me how to give presentations. And I see that he's on the call. So if you have any complaints, send them to him. All right. So once again, I'm Nate. I'm from the NRCS, and I'm going to go over some programs. One of the first things that I wanted to do is just kind of go over some of the differences between FSA and NRCS, right? So FSA is very professional, like this Gail, right? And then you come to NRCS and you get idiots like me. But FSA is where you go for eligibility, emergency programs, loans, and so much more, right? When you come to NRCS, that's where we're going to do the technical assistance. That's helping with programs, helping with resource concern problems, that sort of thing. And then we've got our conservation programs too. And one of the differences is NRCS is going to go out to the field, and we're going to go out and look and see what you got. And sometimes one of the reasons that people get FSA and NRCS confused is because we'll go out in the field for FSA also and do that technical assistance. So just a couple difference. And then, you know, just the last bullet, we really are easier to get along with. So I'll just leave that there. Our very first program, this is kind of our flagship program, is EQIP, which is Environmental Qualities Incentive Program. Okay. And this program is a cost-sharing program. It's not a grant, it's not a loan. Okay. We have practice payments that we pay to the producer for doing their project. And really, when I think of EQIP, I think of structures. Okay. These are the things to get you prepared to be able to do the management. It's not limited to structures, but that's just how I like to describe it. This is the things like if you need water, if you need fencing, if you need a forest management plan, that sort of thing, that's where we come to for EQIP. We can do some beginning stages of management through EQIP also. And then also a part of that is we can help fund the transition to more conservation friendly practices. So if you want to go organic, that sort of thing, we can help with that transition. The thing about EQIP contracts, there is no set time period for these contracts. They can go up to 10 years, no longer than that. But if you get everything done in 6 months, great, wonderful, right? So there's no set time on it. And we make the payments as you complete practices. Okay, so if you get a fence done, if you get an access road done, that sort of thing, we can pay for it as soon as we check that it meets standards and specs. One of the cool things about EQIP is we also have the ability to do advanced payments, especially with tribal members and tribes. So you can get up to 50% of the practice payment up front. So then that way, if you need to go buy materials or secure a contractor, that sort of thing, we can get that money to you. We really, really like it if the practice is completed within 30 days of getting that advanced payment. Makes life easier. One of the other things that we have is assignment of payment. So if you have a contractor that's a little worried about getting paid, we can do an assignment so that that payment goes directly to them. Basically, we are paying you and putting that money in their bank account. You are still responsible for the taxes on that. So don't forget, we're still paying you. You're just telling us to put it in a different bank account. Just examples of practices under EQIP, okay? And we literally have 500 different practice codes. And all of those have 7 scenario options underneath them. So don't be limited. When you come into our office, just throw us your wild ideas. I get in trouble because I never say no until somebody else forces me to. So any idea that you have, bring it in. Different practice examples: cross fence wells, pipelines, tanks, managed grazing. We can also do high tunnels and different urban ag things. Now, you guys got to forgive me. I'm from South Dakota. We don't have timber here. But I went through and found some forestry practices. We have forest stand improvement, thinning, fuel breaks, access roads, forest and brush management plans, and reforestation and tree plantings. So come in with your wild idea and let's see what we can do. Our second kind of flagship program is CSP, the Conservation Stewardship Program. So EQIP was infrastructure. CSP is management, right? So this is, we're going to change how you manage your resources. This one's different because it is a set contract length. It is 5 years, no shorter, no longer. And we make one annual payment per year. We're going to tell you it's in October. It'll probably come in November. Okay, for the government. On this, the individual maximum is 200,000. But like Gail said, for tribes, there is no maximum. Different things you can do under CSP: grazing plans, wildlife habitat management, forest management plans, all the different practices. I think we may have more enhancements than we do EQIP practices, okay? So once again, come in with your ideas. We could probably fit at some point. Third program. This is the Regional Conservation Partnership Program, RCPP. This one's more difficult. Excuse me. This one is a partner-led program, okay? So a partner will come to NRCS and under this, they can target specific things in a specific area. And it can combine EQIP practices, CSP practices, under the AFA things, like we can do things with tribal ecological knowledge, all of that. So this is really, somebody comes to us with an idea, a focused area, and we can look into funding it. These ones, I'm not going to lie, guys, these ones take a little bit longer to get through. This is more of a process to complete. But say Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe wants to focus on a certain area for water quality. They can come to us with that idea. And then if we do the AFA part, we can actually do it where the tribe or the partner itself would be the ones in charge of that, right? And then NRCS would just assist in the background. So it's a really good deal, hard to explain. If you want to do it, every state, as far as I know, has an RCPP coordinator. Get a hold of them. If not, get a hold of me, and I will connect you with somebody to get on it. We also have this urban and small farm practices, right? So that we can do all of these other things, especially if you're in a food desert, that sort of deal where we want to start producing local foods, that sort of thing. Now, don't get hung up on the fact that we call it urban and small farms, right? It doesn't have to be in an urban area, right? We don't have to be downtown Minneapolis to do this. We can do this in Dupree, South Dakota. And don't get hung up on small, because size doesn't matter, okay? That's just what we call this suite of practices. And as you can see, we can do high tunnels, low tunnels, micro irrigation, all that sort of thing. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out to your local field office and we can do some of that. Okay, so the most important part of any of these programs is the plan. Okay, here's kind of the 3 steps to the plan. They tell us we have a 9-step planning process. I do 3 steps because I'm lazy. I'll go through this a little bit, but the better the plan, the better the contract. Okay, so first step in the planning process. What do you want to do? What is your resource concern? What is the issue that you're seeing out there? Okay, come into us. Let's talk about it. The big thing is we will have to come out to the field. We're going to have to jump in a pickup or a side-by-side, and we're going to have to go bounce around, and we're going to look at this, right? And we're going to look at what your objectives are, what your goals are, what your concerns are. And we may see other things, okay? And so we're going to talk about all that. And that's where this relationship building starts. Jump in a pickup, go out and bounce around together and see what the deal is. So we go out, we assess, we look at all the different issues. Then we develop a plan, right? So we're going to discuss, what do you want to do? Here are the alternatives we've came up with. These are the things we've seen. But what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? All of that. The biggest part of this is that bottom one, right? It is your plan. Don't let NRCS tell you what you have to do. It is your plan. You decide what you want to do. You decide how you want to do it. Now, if that doesn't fit into NRCS, you know what? Okay, no big deal. But it's your plan. What are you going to get with your plan? Okay, you'll get a list of your goals and objectives. We'll give you a great big map of the place. You'll get your soils map, you'll get your soils description and all the inventory data that we took and the treatment decisions that you made. Location and schedule of when and how and where you want to do things. And you'll also get operation and maintenance guidance on all of those things. And the last step, okay, implement. Go do it, okay? One of the best things about NRCS is we have the ability to evaluate and adjust, okay? Because if you come in and you want to do an 8-year EQIP plan, I can guarantee that we're going to change our minds on how we're going to do something by the 8th year. And we have that ability, okay? So we can adjust, we can change. So get to your NRCS office, make them go out in the field with you, schedule an appointment, and go out and look at these inventory. And we may come up with completely different ideas than what you do, but that's the most important part, develop that game plan. This is some outreach stuff. This is, I really think this is a part of the relationship building also. So in Dupree, South Dakota, we do a lot of stuff with the school, okay? Mostly because Dave's wife is a teacher and she forces us to, but we are up there all the time. You can see my man, Sammy Soil Saver. We go do a lot of soils things with like kindergarten class. Picture to the right, that's World Soils Day. We had the whole elementary come through the gym. We had about 5 different stations. This one is Cheyenne River's BIA office called us and wanted us to help do some training with their employees, right? So we took a bunch of the BIA guys out and did range training, identifying grasses, how to, you know, ocular visions of them and all of that sort of thing. And then this is just another picture of it over here. But we'll do this, okay? I've had tribes call and want to do it with their range unit holders or their producers, that sort of thing, other tribal members. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. We can come out and do all this. And these are fun days, right? This is way better than sitting in the office. So don't be afraid to call us and get us out there. One last deal. This was range judging classes. So everybody from the western side of South Dakota came up to Eagle Butte. And we took them out on some, and so they were doing range judging. So don't be afraid to call us, come get us. I just threw this slide in here. NRCS is dedicated to working with tribes. Okay, this is South Dakota. This is all the people that we have that are dedicated to working with tribes in South Dakota. So we have a tribal liaison for every reservation in South Dakota. Plus we have the local offices and all the people that work there. And this isn't just a South Dakota thing. There's like 250 people that work for NRCS that work with tribes. Okay, so we're here, we're willing to do things, reach out to us. My last slide, questions or complaints. Complaints go to Floyd Knowles and questions can come to me. And if you have trouble, I don't care what state you're in, if you can't find your local field office, if you can't find your RCPP coordinator, one of them deals, do not be afraid to reach out to me. I will help connect you with whoever you need to be connected with. So I think, Kathy, I'm gonna just end her there.
Perfect. We do have some questions.
Okay.
The one in the chat, does a tribe need to have an MOA in place with NRCS in order to apply for these programs?
No. Nope, just come sign up.
Great.
Now working with tribes and all that, I mean, it's another layer, don't get me wrong. We'll have to work with BIA and tribe and all that and get all the documents put together, but you can just come sign at 1200 today.
Great. Another question that I have, What happens if a tribe already has a plan that they're working on, like an integrated resource management plan? Can they bring that plan to you and start that?
Yes, absolutely. That's amazing. Yep. Bring it in. Let's look it over.
Great.
Yep.
Um,
We actually promote that, Kathy. If you, I mean, that's just, we're just gathering ideas, right? That's the first step in the ideas. So, yep, perfect.
Thanks. Does a tribe need to have development permits for their property in order to apply? For example, do they need a coastal development permit in California?
Boy, I'm in South Dakota, so I don't know what you need in California, but typically, like when we do projects here, we do have to get easements and that sort of thing. We have to clear cultural resources, all of that. You're just gonna have to check with your local offices and that stuff on anything for that. But typically, it's pretty simple.
Great. Gail, I would like to jump back to you for a second, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it took me a little while to think of a question, but is there a way, so maybe we're looking at an EQIP program. Is there a way for a tribe or tribal individual to utilize FSA programming to front their practices, so they're not having to wait until the NRCS payment?
Great question. And I'm thinking of a situations like EQIP can also be used. I don't have a situation, sorry, in timber. In South Dakota, it's a lot for cattle and things like that. And then part of the cost share money is coming from us and NRCS, and the balance comes from FSA. So we can do multiple programs that way for the cost. I'm not sure on the upfront that we've had that scenario before. It has to be typically that what makes it a little bit harder. We've not, to my knowledge, done those. Typically, they've had to have funding from another source, but I'm not saying we can't work on something, because it may be they need additional FSA funds for the project, right? Because that project may not be covered entirely. So it's still worth working with both sides of the building and the office, and NRCS and FSA, and seeing what FSA, how FSA could help. And then that's where, yeah, someone is posting about some advanced payments, and I believe Beginning Farmers as well, and maybe Nate would bring that up. Also, there's some opportunity, and NRCS, I can't speak for them, but that may help with the advanced payments.
Great.
On a project.
Yeah, I just want to add the big thing is we could work with FSA and NRCS on the same land. It's just that we can't pay for the same practice. Okay.
Right.
So if they're doing like we had a wildfire go through here in Ziba County, FSA paid for the emergency fencing. We came along and did the grazing, deferred grazing. So we will work together. It's just that you can't double dip.
Yep, makes sense. Floyd, thank you for the reminder. NRCS does offer advanced payment options, as Nathan shared.
And he's a legend.
Oh, hi, Cody. I was just on the phone with Cody this morning. Cody Leslie says, when we do our NEPA evaluations, we will determine if by the way, Cody Leslie is the tribal liaison for a portion of California for NRCS. So when California does NEPA evaluation, we will determine if permits are needed, i.e. section 404, I'm sorry, the writing's small, CWA permit. However, it is case specific, and we won't know until we start planning. Yes? You're breaking up. Oh, hi, Laverne.
And it's, yes, I apologize. I'm the one that.
Okay. If needed, it's the client's responsibility to obtain these permits before starting work. And we have time for either one more comment or question. Laverne, if you want to throw something in the chat. We can either address that or you can share. All right. Thank you, Gail and Nate. The overviews for Farm Service Agency and NRCS were spot on. And now we're going to move to Allison Prate. She actually is providing a pivot point in our session between USDA programming and seeing a strong tribal NRCS relationship at work. Allison's worked for NRCS since 2010. During that time, she has lived in Wisconsin, Wyoming, Michigan, and now Minnesota, where she currently serves as a tribal liaison and customer service team leader in Duluth, Minnesota. In total, Allison has been a tribal liaison for over 10 years. Today, she's going to be sharing her thoughts on the benefits of relationship building and program participation. So Allison, you are up.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for the introduction, Kathy. I'm happy to be here. I'm already seeing a lot of familiar names in the chat here, so welcome. Yeah, as mentioned today, I'm going to be chatting about the power of relationships when we're looking at federal tribal partnerships. And, honestly, I'm a bit nervous talking about this topic. It's something that I care deeply about and have really struggled putting my thoughts into this presentation in a way where it lands the way that I'm intending, yet also trying to balance making sure it's not too stiff. So please grant me some grace. With that said, let's just get into it. So the previous presenters have provided an excellent overview of the programmatic opportunities available when federal agencies and tribal nations work together. Those initiatives and funding streams are undeniably important, but today I wanted to shift the lens a little bit. So my focus is going to be on the human and institutional relationship that make those programs successful in the first place. In federal tribal interactions, trust, mutual respect, and consistent engagement are not just soft skills, they are strategic imperatives. They determine whether initiatives move forward collaboratively or stall in misunderstanding. So our work exists in the context of government to government relationship. It's grounded in sovereignty, history, and law, but brought to life through day-to-day communication and shared commitment. This is not simply about what we do together, it really is about how we do it. The long-term power of our partnerships lies in cultivating enduring connections that can weather changes in leadership, policy shifts, and even program priorities. So as federal employees, our role is rooted, as I mentioned, in federal trust responsibility. The tribes are sovereign nations, and our success really does depend on the relationships built on respect and mutual understanding and not those one-time transactions. We don't want that. At the heart of federal trust responsibility is protecting tribal lands, resources, and treaty rights. But doing that well is going to depend on those strong relationships. I'm going to use that word a lot in this presentation. When we build trust, we better understand tribal needs and can actually deliver on our responsibilities. It's also about respecting sovereignty by honoring decision-making processes, consulting on what matters most, and making sure resources support long-term governance and development. Strong relationships make it easier to navigate federal programs and open the door to real collaboration, whether that's economic growth, resource management, or just protecting the environment. In the end, strong federal tribal relationships are what uphold sovereignty, support well-being, and ensure that tribes can fully exercise their rights as sovereign nations. I do realize that these relationships are going to look differently and are in various stages of development across the entire country. Also, what I just said may sound all fine, but implementing might be more of a challenge. What I can say from a personal level is that working with a variety of tribes across the Great Lakes region over the last 10 years is that it's going to be worth it. There's a lot of good that can come out of investing the time to work through this. You will see lasting relationships, long-term friendships, and some really cool projects that make a true difference out on the landscape. So a tribal liaison is going to act as that bridge between non-tribal entities, and in today's instance, what I'm referencing is federal agencies and various Native American tribes and communities. This role involves building and maintaining relationships, facilitating communication, and advocating for the needs and interests of the tribes and areas of mutual concern. What we can expect of tribal liaisons is that they establish and nurture strong relationships with tribal leaders, community members, and organizations. We want them to serve as a point of contact for tribal communities and relay information about relevant programs, policies, and initiatives. Tribal liaisons will represent tribal interests and concerns through their chain of command so that the tribe's perspectives are considered in the decision-making processes. We want our tribal liaisons to possess a strong understanding of tribal cultures, traditions, and sovereignty to ensure culturally appropriate engagement. We want liaisons to continue to learn and grow in their knowledge. Additionally, we're looking for our tribal liaisons to develop and implement outreach strategies to inform tribal communities about available resources and opportunities and educate the broader organization about tribal issues. Tribal liaisons will assist in the design and implementation of programs and services that are responsive to the specific needs of the tribal communities. Lastly, the hope is that the liaisons will facilitate communication and negotiation to resolve conflicts or address challenges between the organization and tribal communities. Now, I just said the word challenge and conflict. What do I mean by this? Mainly, here's what I want to say. Sometimes all of the practices that Nate kind of mentioned, they don't always line up with the specific tribal projects. And as a result, sometimes even our cost share rates may be super below the rate that we aim for on any particular code. And maybe even that practice code doesn't even exist for what we're trying to accomplish. And that's okay. But what happens then? So we actually just went through this very scenario with a project in the image in the background. After working through some creative solutions and many conversations running things up and down our internal chain of command and running through different options with the tribe and contractors, we were able to come up with a solution that everyone was happy with. Would it have been easier if if any person of the interested parties were just to throw in the towel because things were getting too tough? Sure. But I'm also so glad that we did it, because right now we actually have a system that's in place that's going to provide tremendous opportunities now for the tribe to move forward and grow their fisheries program. It's not always perfect, but it'll work. So I wanted to start this slide off with some good news. As mentioned by Gail and Nate, we do have a huge network of NRCS and FSA employees across the entire country. So NRCS we have many tribal liaisons and agency representation in every single county across the country. And so if you already know who your contact is, cool, you're already off to a great start. If not, no worries. That can be easily remedied. I know there has been several options that have been mentioned already in this presentation, but here's a quick QR code. If you don't know how to find your local contact, this QR code is going to get you really close. And if you've never used a QR code before, all you need to do is open up your smartphone camera, put the QR code in the frame of your camera, and then click on the link that pops up. And if you don't have a smartphone or you don't have it handy at the moment, no worries, just jot this down. All you need to do is type into Google USDA Service Center Locator, and you're going to be able to dial down to the state, county, and you will find your local contact information. As far as bringing up a project, Nate did mention this. We really have had the most success with projects if the tribe actually goes through their own internal process first for identifying a problem, a project, gathering support from the necessary people within the tribe, and then bringing that problem or project to your local liaison and letting them help you come up with options or solutions. Sometimes maybe it's just technical, whether it's biological assistance or engineering assistance, planning assistance. Other times it might be financial assistance. And a lot of times what I found, it's going to be some sort of combination of everything I just mentioned. So here's the thing. The United States government has many, many programs, and they do change from time to time. I personally do not expect any customer of mine, tribal or non-tribal, to be fully up to speed in what the options within NRCS are that are available to them. I do, however, hope that they would just come to me with the issues that they're experiencing so that I can help guide them in a direction that makes sense for whatever issue that they're experiencing. And so, as we're talking about change, I did want to make this quick note that, especially as news is kind of flying around, especially recently within the media, there are certain times where there may be something that's mentioned as a highlight on the news or media or wherever you get your information. And the local service centers, maybe they haven't been alerted quite yet on how that's going to be implemented. So if you could just give us a little grace as we work through that too, that's another thing that you might encounter. So as you're initiating or even maintaining an existing relationship, consider regular check-ins. It's important. There are a few things that you can do to also help out your local liaison, help them to better understand the culture and needs of your tribe, help them to understand the leadership hierarchy, who should they contact, who should they meet with, and what for. It may be different. It may be different. Help them to learn what traditionally ecological knowledge they need to understand to best help with projects as they're developed. Ultimately, relationships grow through small and consistent actions that show commitment. This could look so different as this develops, but we got site visits, phone calls, even just celebrating the small wins along the way. It's still important. This slide is one of my favorite because I just think it's so cool about the bison versus the magpie. It's just a great example of a successful partnership. The bison is so large and the magpie is so small, and each are dependent on each other. So the bison is looking at the magpie to help him or her out with getting all the bugs out of their skin, like the ticks, the all sorts of little flies or whatnot. They're basically a living buffet for the magpie. They're just munching away. All things are good. But then also the magpie is going to be alerting the bison when there's a predator around. So they both work off of each other. They both help each other out. And it doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter their different sizes. It really doesn't matter. They're just there to help each other out. So some final reminders. Partnership models evolve. They really do. What works in one place and time may actually not work forever or even from location to location. So keep learning and adopting your approach. Always reflect what is working and what could use some improvements. And if you just take one thing away today from this part of the presentation, let it be this. Focus on relationships first, and everything else, programs, projects, and outcomes are certain to follow. Next, you're going to have Ben and Tim highlighting some of the success that Grand Portage has experienced working with NRCS.
Allison, thank you so much. I hope what everybody is hearing from our presentations, the essential takeaway is Farm Service Agency and NRCS are committed to relationship building with their tribal partners, and they're committed to long-term service and ensuring that that our tribal partners are getting what they need. Are there any questions for Allison? All right, Allison, I guess you're off the hook. I did want to note we had a couple comments come in at the as Allison was starting. Cody added regarding the NEPA process is NRCS can assist with those conversations with the appropriate partners. So don't let that process scare you. And then Floyd, the outreach coordinator and tribal liaison from Texas. First, I apologize for being a little bit flip in sharing earlier, not introducing you, but NRCS can revise and update conservation plans as needed. So just that thought that conservation plans are not, they're like other plans. They're not static. And NRCS wants what you want, and they want to be successful. So with that, bringing our program home, indeed, are Tim and Ben. Tim Miller, as I said earlier, he's the Director of Forestry for the Grand Portage Tribe. He has led the Forestry Department, including fire management, for 25 years. He's also served as the Grand Portage Delegate to the Intertribal Timber Council Board of Directors for 24 years and is currently serving ITC as the Treasurer. Ben Ellefson is an outgoing technical engineer from Duluth, Minnesota, with over 26 years of experience with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, again, part of USDA programming. Ben specializes in building and maintaining strong relationships with tribes and private landowners, working with people for the common good. Outside of work, Ben values quality time with his family, being outdoors, and giving back to the community. These men have been partners for many years and have worked together on a variety of projects and achieved a lot of success. Today, they're going to share a few of those projects and how they have been able to achieve those successful outcomes. So Ben and Tim, y'all are up.
All right, thank you, Kathy. I'm going to get this PowerPoint up here for Tim to start out. Thank you for the introduction, and happy to be here, as most have stated. You can get a thumbs up here once I get this up and running.
Yep,
You can
it's
see my
good, Ben.
screen.
We're up and running.
Great.
Okay, bonjour, miigwech. Appreciate the opportunity. Ben, like Kathy was saying, and also Allison alluded, we've worked together on many projects. The goal of what we're trying to do is it is success stories, but we're really trying to tie projects on the ground, specifically with all of the information that's been shared prior to this part. And Ben, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. I'm Ben Ellefson, as stated, the civil engineer technician in Duluth. And a lot of these slides in this presentation go with what we've already heard throughout this, throughout the rest of these presentations on how to build relationships, opportunities. We're going to show you what has worked in our past, as we've led through a lot of this and experienced this kind of outcome. So, thank you.
So kind of give folks a little bit of a background. Ben and I have given a presentation similar to this many times, but it's usually in person. And so we had a little bit of a challenge trying to tie a webinar where we're both in separate locations. And so what we've done is we've set up the slideshow where we're going to alternate at different paces to explain the different photos. So we've actually been assigned, we assigned each other the actual slides. So hopefully that's going to work. This is something new. We've never done anything like this, but the challenge, it was actually very fun to put together. So as is so important to the cultural values, the sense of place, and I share this just because so that you have an idea of where Ben and I have done this work. Grand Portage Reservation is in the extreme, there we go, came back, in the extreme northeastern corner of Minnesota. It's a beautiful place. The Lake Superior is an important part of who the people are and who we are. And so that is kind of what drives us. Okay, so the first thing we wanted to start with was a little bit of the history of the relationship, and actually we had a little bit of a hard time putting this together, but we believe the NRCS and Grand Portage relationship started back in 1993. So that's a pretty long time ago. I've been here since 2000, and it happened before that. And if I remember correctly, Grand Portage had actually requested some technical assistance, as it states there, from NRCS. So that was kind of that first relationship. And what happened, what's happening there is Grand Portage actually reached out to NRCS. And I think that's kind of one of the focuses we've been trying to share today. Then moving along in time between the 90s and the 2000s, NRCS assisted on multiple tribal projects. Once again, Ben started just almost at 2000 there, and I started at 2000. So some of that is evidence on the landscape here in those projects, but we weren't necessarily involved in those. Then I'm going to skip a little bit, the late 2000s. The district conservationist introduces forestry practices to Grand Portage. I'm not exactly sure when that was. I remember the meeting. I was very involved with it. The district conservationist, like it says, came up and visited, and we started talking about practices. And boy, was that a confusing meeting. Once again, like it's been presented before, the best thing to do is to come with the practice or the project and then work through that. And currently we're working on approximately, and when I say currently, I think that's like really right now, we're working on about a dozen projects between NRCS and Grand Portage staff. And throughout this time, there's been multiple staff turnover for both Grand Portage and NRCS, but the relationship has continued. And one of the reasons we believe that relationship has continued is because of the last bullet there, the support of multiple levels from both the tribal side and the NRCS side. Obviously, it's important and it's good to have overlap. Ben and I have been a large part of that overlap in the last 20 years. And then as folks kind of come and go and move, we can share those opportunities. And that relationship can grow not only as it's established, but then it can also grow out and include more staff. And both Ben and Allison work with multiple staff here on the reservation. It's not just with forestry, but we're focusing a little bit more on forestry today. Okay.
All right. Going off of what Tim just presented, this is the internal NRCS working together on our side, and just all the hands in to help this from multiple levels. You can see on the left there, the NRCS regional hubs, which is Radar National, to the state office, to the area office, to the field office, to our customer or partner. I've listed a few of them there that have a part in it, especially what we've done up here in northern Minnesota. Every one of those positions has a helping hand in making this go. So you might have a facilitator or a person to work like Tim and I are working together along with liaisons. And then it goes beyond that to get parts of the project completed. So this is just kind of going off of what Tim just explained. And then making it work challenges. Tim, you want to talk about that a little bit?
All right. Yes, thank you. In working through these projects, we've got a couple slides here. We're kind of identifying a few of the challenges and then successes internally. These are based on our experiences. Obviously, the NRCS office is 3 hours away, which you'll see. But they also can provide some technical expertise that we have limited on the reservation. Funding is usually a limitation. It can provide that. Can tie the resource concern to NRCS practices, and of course that can be a challenge that I like to not participate in because it is so difficult. And then also the time to develop the project from start to finish. Like we've talked about these relationships, it takes time to build relationships. The relationships lead to trust, and then it continues on as we move through the projects.
So much like Tim just said, here's a little map of a sense of place where we are located for the Duluth field office. where we work out of. Tying back to the travel distance to project, it's a 3-hour one-way trip up to Grand Portage in the northeast corner of Minnesota, bordering Canada. There is a couple other travel reservations on the map here just to show the location that we travel to. But showing up is a big part of it, and implementing what we have worked on in the office beforehand. So a lot of pre-planning is needed to schedule and coordinate these travel trips. It's not just getting in the truck and going. And communication comes in to be a big pivot point for these projects. The NRCSers will understand this, but Tim mentioned fitting the NRCS practice to the project, and that is a big tool that we have found out as we've worked together throughout the years. Electronic Field Office Technical Guide houses these practice standards, and we're fitting the NRCS practice to the project. There's technical guides within that are primary, the scientific references for NRCS containing technical information on the conservation resources. These ensure many things of state and local criteria are met for the resource concern, and it provides overviews, worksheets, network diagrams, and whatnot. Although this is a public source, NRCS, what we've done is, in working with Allison, the liaison, we dive into this and do this internal part of fitting our programs that sometimes don't make sense to the general public or even the employees here, and how to fit these things. So it's very important the customer has a good focus on their project and what they're trying to do, and see where we can come in and change what we have to best suit you.
So making it work, successes. Obviously, we talked about the NRCS with the technical support and also provides funding, which we'll go into that a little bit later. Communication and collaboration, like Allison was talking about, is critical. And having that open lines. We build partnership relationships, not only with NRCS, but you'll see a little bit later with a lot of other folks in the same, trying to get a project completed. On-site project management, that is in relationship to the expertise that NRCS can bring to the reservation, because we don't have those resources. Project start to finish, critical. You don't want to leave a project hanging. And then, of course, continued partnership and relationship building into the future. So this is kind of what I was referring to a little bit there. This is the kind of the external collaboration, and I really like this slide because it puts Grand Portage and NRCS in the middle. And this is in particular reference to a project that we worked on. It was a pretty big project, but then it also applies to other projects that we're working on. We're expanding relationships. The state construction company, that's the Grand Portage Construction Company, the Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service, local collaboratives, the county, Bureau of Indian Affairs. Obviously, they play a key role in just about everything we do, and in one way, shape, or form. We had an engineering company we had to work with, and then, of course, the Army Corps of Engineers.
Starting to jump into some of these projects, we have some slides, as Tim mentioned, that we'll share with you on some of the projects we've done. But here is some of the technical assistance and financial assistance projects we've accomplished throughout the past years. There's diverse forest projects, and within forestry, there's some other practices and projects that have came along with the tribe and NRCS. So these are just some of the mentions. The bottom one there, the opportunities to share success stories, goes back to Tim and I have been able to team up on presentations and share this with many folks in the ITC or NRCS or the tribal communities. And it's kind of neat to show the work that we've done, although we keep working and keep moving forward on these projects. We've collected a few here.
So what we've done here is, these are the title slides, and we'll break it down. And you've heard some of these words earlier. in the presentation. So we'll break it down into a couple examples of technical assistance, a couple examples of financial assistance, and then also the one that happens quite often is the technical and financial assistance.
All right, some of the technical assistance that we offer: project investigation and evaluation survey. The I&E is the first step in a technical sequence, including design and construction of the projects. Oftentimes, we'll do on-site observations to explore and assess natural resources concerns. This could be by surveying, data collection, notes, pictures. It's initial site visits. This is where the tribe or Tim will come up with their concern or what they're trying to do, and we kind of get the ball rolling. Another method might be subsurface investigations. The soils getting truck is placed in one of these pictures. We have a geologist, we've developed geotechnical reports for some of these projects that most of the time need subsurface investigations. So it also leads to construction inspection. Once we have plans and specs, we're on site up there. There's a pump truck with some concrete tests. On-site construction inspection is a must when incorporating the projects to keep the management of the project rolling. There's a slump and strength test of the concrete there, and then some rock riprap placement. The project design, plan sets, specification packets that are detailed to the project scope are oftentimes completed by NRCS and approved. This will house the cost estimates, the bid schedules, and the design packet, which is where a lot of the plan derives from. So it's not just throwing something on a plan. It'll be worked through with hydrology, hydraulics, or what have you, to determine the best method of what the goal of the project is.
So this is an example of where Ben has participated on basically a team. We have a team here in Grand Portage that includes some Bureau of Indian Affairs folks, Ben, and also our chairman. And what we're doing is we're working, in case you haven't noticed, you probably have, but a lot of these projects are based around water, and water is life. It's very important to Grand Portage and in the culture. And so we don't have this kind of expertise on the reservation. We don't have road engineers. We don't have the kind of expertise that's brought into this type of project. And so it's been awesome. This project continues. Ben has been on our team, like I said, and we've worked really well together. And part of the other side of the team is a contractor. So there's a lot of, as I've mentioned before, I am a forester. And so a lot of this engineering technical jargon stuff is pretty difficult for me to understand. But Ben does a great job of interpreting and giving us the information so that we can make really good decisions on the project. And then obviously our outcomes are much better. This is another example of that same type of project. Once again, this the structure on the right is an aquatic organism passage structure. Once again, very important to the water and the critters that move back and forth within the water and contain. On the left is access. You can see a couple of culverts in there that were put in, and Ben provided tremendous technical assistance and input, and helping us understand what it is that we needed to do, and in collaboration with our BIA partners. We've also received, we're lucky enough that the state of Minnesota and Allison have access to forestry folks on their staff. This is a forest inventory crew. These are all NRCS folks. And they came up to help us do check cruising. Our forester, we contracted that project out, which meant the contractor brought in several inspectors or inventory specialists. And so the workload for check cruising got huge. And these folks came up and helped us out with the check cruising. It was great. It was wonderful. Great resource. Okay. Next is financial assistance. Just to give you a little bit of an idea here, this is a thinning project on the left, and of course this is tree planting. This is a sugar bush. The student, we have a charter school on the reservation, and we have adopted this piece of ground here to be a sugar bush, and so we went in there and thinned and these forestry practices. So in this case, the forestry expertise is really here and on the reservation. We have a pretty good staff here. We're staffed up pretty good in terms of making decisions and doing planning. Also, prescribed burning. These are two different projects. One is for actually blueberry development. It's you can see there's a small photo up on the top left, which is a picture of blueberries, and that's what we're trying to do in the photo right underneath there, is remove the competition for the blueberries and let the blueberries thrive. On the right is a fuels project. It's in the village. We're trying, what we do is we reduce the fine fuels that are available for some kind of a like a hot break. We had a fire one time from a hot break. It broke up and went off into the ditch and burned up, and that's what that happens there. So NRCS provides us funding for both of these, all three of these projects. Next is technical and financial assistance. So this is, we get both the technical support and expertise provided to us, and then also financial assistance. Okay, so this one here, you can see this is a bridge installation. You can see all the stream restoration work that's been done. Ben provided a great service as he traveled down to, he actually went to the bridge company and made sure that the specs were all correct. And as you can see, he's on site for the actual installation as well. The bridge came in 2 different pieces, and Ben's really curious about that because he wants to make sure that those little screw pegs line up with that bridge, and they did. A little bit of a hammer work, but it worked.
Yep, it was one blow with the hammer, but it fell on there.
This is a similar project where you can see what this site looked like beforehand. You can imagine, those of you that are familiar with the NRCS practices, there's several practices just by looking at this site that technical assistance that can be provided, and then the end result is the bridge on the other side. And of course, because we've done stream restoration, the project was stream restoration at the same time. We did the water quality was excellent.
All right, along with those projects, we've got some other ones that we've worked on different areas of the tribe expertise with. This one happens to be bison grazing. Grand Portage has had a bison herd recently established there on 80 acres that NRCS and other partners have helped formulate a plan for them to do that up there. This is just a result of some complexity in NRCS practices. There's a pump house, solar pump well, heavy use area, protection pad there, pasture work. It's pretty neat to see them raising their offspring on something that was forested beforehand. Another example of that is kind of off the path of forestry is aquaculture hatchery. There's a multitude of diverse projects that Grand Portage and NRCS work on together. This one happens to utilize the water from Lake Superior, and the tribe raises walleye, whitefish, and trout in the hatchery. Again, a complexity of NRCS practices, along with the aquaculture pond. There's a filtration pond, there's a harvest kettle, and a Lake Superior water intake, including the lift station, and a heavy use area. So kind of cool, the circle of water. Tim alluded to how important water is. We're utilizing the fresh water of Lake Superior, pumped up to a lift station that will gravity flow through the fisheries and back out to a filtration pond to have settlement and back out to Lake Superior. Another typical practice would be access, road access or access road that you've seen a few pictures for, and then a boat landing. Access generally goes to remote areas on the reservation that the tribe will need to get to for various reasons, whether it's moose habitat, fire safety, accessing land on the remote parts of the tribe. These access roads are generally gravel over geotextile. And then the boat access is self-explanatory in lakes and rivers. Erosion control measures. This is showing a rockline channel. Oftentimes we keep clean water. We intercept the water that's flowing to keep clean water clean, diverting it into control project sites. All these flowages go to Lake Superior. So that is a large resource concern to keep it clean. Monoman habitat restoration. This is another practice. This happens to be a double aluminum pipe drop structure, which is a water management tool with the fluctuating water levels that rice is needed to grow. It ties back to the technical assistance to figure some of this out, and these act as wildlife ponds and water refuges too on the tribal grounds for raising rice. Stream bank and shoreline protection. That's an obvious one where we armor shorelines of either rivers, flowages, shorelines, usually with rock riprap, which is mostly, I call natural. That is rock is a natural source that we have areas of we can access that right there. So that's been a nice way to armor some of this flowing water sites.
Okay, this is kind of a statement that we put together specifically on the bridge installation project. A comment here: with the collaboration between Grand Portage Forestry, Grand Portage Construction Company, and the NRCS, this bridge will help to us access portions of the reservation that are in need of forest management. If you have more interest in that, we actually, I think Laura just put in the chat, there's a YouTube video of a drone showing the bridge installation. It's kind of a neat thing, just something fun if you get a chance to take a look at that. But this comment and this viewpoint really applies to pretty much everything we've done in terms of, you know, kind of summing up how this relationship has been and continues to grow. This is a photo just to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, this is Ben and myself. This person right here, Bobby Dishaw, at the time of this project was our construction manager, and now he's actually the chairman, which happens many times right on smaller reservations. And so that has helped. He's helped keep that relationship going.
And the picture with Tim there, he's shaking hands with the NRCS area engineer, Craig Peterson. That just resembles on how different facets come together and people come together and working together to get a job well done. Tim's also viewing the fish in the fresh stream water with the bridge set in there on the bottom.
Looking for fish. This is our last slide, and I think it's really a key to how our relationship has worked. You know, we're helping people to help the land. The significance of this photo that we've got a couple of council members there, the construction manager, the construction company, the gentleman, the short man in the middle was our chairman at the time, and then obviously Bobby's on his left, and that's our chairman now. Forestry staff, and a lot of construction company folks.
And then on the NRCS side, we have the Minnesota State Office staff, engineering there, the area staff, area engineer there, field office staff, and conservationists a part of that. This photo was to conclude that project. It just kind of happened at the end of that day, which was pretty neat. You know, and just to wrap this up, because we are getting close to after our time, there's so many people involved and so many different items involved. It takes NRCS people to understand the NRCS side of things, to take that load off of our partners and tribes and let them focus on the projects that they'd like to accomplish. So in working with them, you get these kind of things and this kind of relationship. It's the common goal of helping people help the land. Collaborating and teamwork results in creating and maintaining relationships. That would conclude our presentation. And the last thing I'll say here, unless there's questions, is you've heard this throughout our presentations today with Gail, Nate, and Allison. It seems like we have all had the same nucleus on what we're talking about and what we have to offer. So hope you all enjoyed all this, and thank you for your time.
Great, thank you guys. If people can stick around for a little bit, we do have a couple of questions, and oh, except when I did that, I lost my questions. Hang on. What kind of permitting is required for the prescribed burn activities?
We have a fire management plan, and we do burn plans, and those get reviewed and signed off on our side, on the tribal side, and then also on the BIA side. And when we do those burns, we generally have support from other reservations that come in and help us, and also from the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So that partnership with the Bureau of Indian Affairs is important in that role as well.
And then the bridge manufacturer.
Yep, Tim wrote in their contact is the manufacturer, and that brings up a good point. Sometimes NRCS is not doing the engineering on these projects, and we will have a manufacturer that will have shop drawings. Someone else would administer this, but that's where the technical assistance comes in to make sure those two join together. So
Great. I'm just going to thank everybody for being here today, especially my NRCS and FSA friends who presented, and Tim, especially to you for coordinating the connections. Also for our tech assistants, Laura and, oh, I am so sorry because I'm blanking now.
Monica,
thank you for your If you're interested in fostering a relationship with either agency, Farm Service Agency or NRCS, or enhancing your current relationships, you guys have lots of information on how to connect. But if you're still not comfortable, or if you feel like you need additional assistance, please feel free to reach out to me. I was a liaison in Oregon, NRCS. And I'm happy to help you make that connection. Watch for the follow-up information in your inbox. And again, thank you for joining us.